Continuing on with the Clone Wars, we hop on over to holy shit! Season 7, Episode 11, Shattered. This video might be a little different than normal. Normally I watch an episode and I jot down some notes as I'm watching it. I basically watched this entire episode without writing more than like 2 sentences down. I was just completely enthralled. I wanted to be completely in the moment and watch this damn thing. So this is me. I just finished watching this episode. This is me just rambling off the top of my head. So I just love how both parallel stories are going on right now and how they feed into Revenge of the Sith, right? At the beginning, we hear Windu say, that he senses a plot to destroy the Jedi. Basically, exactly verbatim, that scene that we saw from Revenge of the Sith. And instead of cutting away from that scene, as it does in Revenge of the Sith, that scene is elongated. We see what happens in that room, after the camera cut away in Sith. And Windu looks over his shoulder and Ahsoka's walking into the room. I just love how they are cleverly paralleling these 2 stories back and forth. And how we are seeing something that is happening alongside with the events that we know that transpire. It's really well done. I just love it as a concept, and I love how it's being executed. And the conversation that Mace and Ahsoka have there, and Yoda's there as well, I believe that Ahsoka said something like, she captured Darth Maul as a citizen, not as a Jedi. And the most interesting thing here in this sequence is both the Jedi Council and Ahsoka are hiding information from one another. Information that would both, if they divulged it to one another, would be extremely important, right? Sharing of information in this moment, while the doom and gloom is on the horizon, would be paramount. Ahsoka has information about Skywalker, about Anakin, because Darth Maul had some visions about Anakin Skywalker. What was kind of on the horizon. He's not completely privy to what's going to happen, but he knows that, Sidious has been grooming a new apprentice, and that apprentice is Skywalker. And so I guess Ahsoka probably just can't bring herself to believe this. And in that disbelief, she refuses, she does not tell the Jedi Order about this, which is definitely a bad decision. But at the same time, the Jedi Council is hiding information from Ahsoka. They're hiding information about Palpatine. It's just really interesting. They both have very important information to tell one another, but because of reasons that they don't. And that happens in the real world, of course. You don't have to suspend your disbelief, I suppose. One of the things that is so prevalent in this entire episode, and I cannot not talk about it, is the music. Dude, especially when Maul is being transported, right? Maul is in this like single cell prison sleeve. He's like in an envelope for people, and it's just a prison device, I guess. It's like carbonite, but not being frozen in carbonite. You're just in a box. And as he's being transported, it's some of my favorite stuff in this entire episode. The music is so eerie. It's kind of like, it sounds like a little Blade Runner-y and some ambient sound effects, and it just does such a good job of setting up this doom and gloom, the things to come that are on the horizon, I loved how the music just played into the sense of dread that we all have, knowing what's coming, right? It's probably some of my favorite music in this entire show, but because it is so different. It's eerie. It's so prevalent too. It's always there. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, that entire Darth Maul transition was fantastic. And then there's a moment where that entire sequence kind of comes to an end. Where everything changes in the episode. Ahsoka is talking to Rex. They jump into hyperspace. Beautiful scene. And Ahsoka is talking about, I actually typed this out verbatim. She says something like, as a Jedi, we were trained to be keepers of the peace, not soldiers, but all I've ever been since I was a Padawan was a soldier. And it's kind of the definitive definition of downfall for the Jedi. It's a really heartfelt moment between Ahsoka and Rex. It's really well done, and it makes all of this even more heartbreaking, right? And the moment where Ahsoka is alone, standing there, The moment of Anakin's turn is felt. We hear dialogue from Revenge of the Sith. Once again, the parallel storylines going on, and they're both feeding into one another. So well done. I love it. It's so clever the way it's done. But dude, that moment where she feels something has changed. She recognizes that all of her fears and maybe her denial has come true. I had chills. I did not expect that. I had chills. When we see Sidious execute Order 66, Rex says, "Yes, Lord Sidious." We see the hint of remorse on Rex's face when everything comes crashing down, and before he turns, he yells something like, "Find fives. Fives is something fives." I can't remember. He's yelling this to Ahsoka before he begins to try to blast Ahsoka. And then just nothing, After a single shedded tear, just nothing. Rex is a shell. I'm guessing he has no memory of their relationship whatsoever. He is hellbent. He is a hunter of Jedi now, and he is just a shell. It's pretty gut-wrenching, man. I didn't expect that moment to hit me as hard as it did because, we all know what's coming. We all, we've seen the movies. We know what happens. That being said, we didn't know what happened between, Rex and Ahsoka, the two characters that I think most of us would want to know what happens to, right? During all of the Order 66 stuff, because, we know what happens to Kenobi, we know what happens to Ahsoka, we know, Anakin rather, we know what happens to most of the Jedi Council that we're familiar with, and to see all of these events come into play, come crashing down between Rex and Ahsoka is way more gut-wrenching than I was anticipating. But, dude, it fantastic. So well done. So well done. Some of the best Star Wars, right? Hands down, some of the best Star Wars in the entire damn saga. Fantastic. What happens? So after that, Ahsoka, she's on the run. She's being hunted. She goes and basically lets Darth Maul out of his person sleeve, his person envelope, his person prison. And, she's not wanting to team up. She says. Basically, she's letting Darth Maul out of his little cell in order to be a diversion. She's basically letting him out to be like a mouse in a maze. So maybe he's gonna pull some aggression towards him and give herself some room to maybe escape a little bit. I really liked this. It was kind of like ruthless Ahsoka. I don't think she was feeling anything, any kind of remorse or anything for Darth Maul. She was releasing him as bait. She was just saying, "I hope they go after you, you son of a bitch. You be the mouse in the maze and let all the kitty cats chase after you, and I'm gonna play my cards safe. I'm gonna creep around and hopefully they all come after you." I love that. I love that. So then we see Ahsoka use some droids to help her out. I would assume that maybe some people would think this is kind of cheesy. I try to get myself into the brain of other people watching this, and I can see that somebody would think this is cheesy. I loved it. Strategically, it makes so much sense. It's out of necessity. The options are slim. The droids haven't been turned. And the droids are kind of the only things that Ahsoka can trust at the moment, right? I liked it. It was fun. It was clever, and it was like everything on this ship is out to get Ahsoka, right? All of her friends are no longer her friends. She is on her own, and it's like going up to almost like something that your enemy forgot about. Your enemy is so preoccupied doing one thing that they've forgotten to guard against this thing. Does that make sense? I really liked it. I really liked it. So, long story short, Ahsoka uses one of the droids to look up fives and fish around in the files and look for answers. She starts going down like a little rabbit hole of information. She finds a clip of Rex talking about their inhibitor chips and how he's a little worried that they, might have a different purpose than they originally thought. So yeah, that leads into, I guess, what happens at the end of the episode. But there's this like hallway sequence with Darth Maul where he is just madman ruthless. No lightsabers. He's using like doors and walls as cover, pulling them in with a force, just marching down this hallway, very similar to like the ruthlessness at the end of Rogue One with Darth Vader, just kind of marching down that hallway and being like a horror villain. in a slasher film, just going down the hallway, slashing and chopping. It was fun to see. If I'm remembering correctly, that is kind of the last that we see Darth Maul in this episode. I'm sure he will pop up in the next episode, although I don't really need him to. I think the episode. I think the Clone Wars now. I'd be completely fine with just Rex and Ahsoka on the run, trying to figure out what the hell to do. We know that Darth Maul has escaped. Cool. I'm fine with that. I don't really care if we see him again, but I'm sure we will. So yeah, in the end, Ahsoka records a message for Rex using one of the droids. They basically block Rex in. One of the droids plays the message to Rex. Ahsoka knocks Rex out. They bring him into the medical bay, and there's this scene of just great tension where, the clones are trying to get through the door that's been sealed shut by Ahsoka. And they're coming in. Ahsoka is trying to get information about the inhibitor chip that's in Rex. They can't find it. And eventually the clones bust in. Ahsoka is trying to defend herself. She's about to fall. She's lost a lightsaber, and Rex from behind blasts the clones, saving Ahsoka. The droid removed the inhibitor chip through all this chaos. And the episode basically ends, Rex tells Ahsoka it's all the clones. This is, Army of the Republic wide, which, as it takes Ahsoka aback pretty hard. But dude, this is, I keep saying this through this entire arc. This is Clone Wars at its best. This is Star Wars at its best. I mean, god damn, I am completely blown away by this arc. I had more chills in this episode than I've had through the entire Clone Wars show. And obviously that's I'm sure everybody else did too, because this is kind of the big shit that leads into other big shit, right? But yeah, man, I just love how they're doing these parallel stories. Revenge of the Sith happening at the same time of Clone Wars, and it's so well done, man. I don't know what else to say. It's some of the best Star Wars that I've seen. I love it. I don't even know what the hell is going to happen in the next episode, but there is one more episode left. We'll see. Man, bravo. What else am I going to say? Huh? What else am I going to say? Huh? What am I going to say? Huh? Okay. All right. Okay. See you guys next week.